On a still winter night, when the city outside seemed to slow into silence and the faint glow of streetlights softened the darkness, Ethan sat alone in his apartment, carrying a heaviness he had lived with for years, without understanding where it came from. From the outside, his life appeared stable and predictable, yet deep within him lingered a quiet emptiness, a sense that something essential was missing, despite doing everything he was supposed to do. That night, instead of distracting himself or forcing sleep, he closed his eyes and allowed the silence to settle. And from the deepest place within his soul rose a wordless question. Not asked out loud, but felt with complete honesty, wondering if anyone beyond this visible world could truly see him. Almost immediately, the atmosphere shifted, not violently or dramatically, but with a calm intensity that made the air feel alive, and a radiant presence slowly emerged, filling the room with soft hues of blue and gold light that carried both strength and peace. A voice followed, steady and reassuring, not echoing in his ears but resonating directly within his heart, telling him not to be afraid and reminding him that he had been heard. Tears welled in Ethan's eyes as the presence revealed itself not as a distant legend, but as living guidance, introducing itself as Michael, a guardian sent not to judge, but to strengthen those who endure quietly. In that moment, Ethan felt every unseen struggle acknowledged, every silent disappointment understood, and every unanswered prayer gently held, as the voice explained that seasons of waiting are not signs of abandonment, but times of preparation, shaping strength where patience once felt like weakness. Memories surfaced of moments when he had doubted himself, accepted less than he deserved, and silenced his inner truth to avoid loss. And instead of shame, he felt compassion wash over him, as if he were finally being reminded that his journey had meaning all along. Michael spoke of alignment rather than urgency, reminding him that what is divinely meant will never require chasing, desperation, or self-betrayal, and that when doors close, it is often because they no longer match who the soul is becoming. As the light surrounded him, the heaviness he had carried for years began to dissolve, replaced by a calm certainty he had never known. And as the radiant presence slowly faded, one final message remained within him, clear and steady, that this was not the end of his story, but the moment of awakening. In the days that followed, life continued outwardly unchanged, yet subtle signs appeared everywhere, in unexpected clarity, in conversations that unfolded differently, and in opportunities that arrived without force while others quietly disappeared without regret. Each morning, Ethan woke with the calm alertness, no longer driven by fear or urgency, but guided by trust, understanding that true protection does not always look like rescue, and true guidance does not always come in words. When doubt resurfaced, as it sometimes did, he felt that same quiet strength return, reminding him that growth does not announce itself loudly, but reveals itself through consistency and courage. Over time, he realized that the true miracle was never the light he had seen that night, but the strength that now lived within him, steady and unshaken, guiding his choices and reshaping his path without force. And as he moved forward, no longer waiting for a sign, he understood that heaven had already answered in silence, and that awakening had begun the moment he chose to listen. And as Ethan continued on his path, he realized that every challenge, every moment of doubt, and every closed door had been preparing him for a purpose far greater than he could have imagined. The quiet guidance he had received that night remained with him, not as a fleeting experience, but as a constant presence, reminding him that he was never truly alone and that every choice made from a place of courage strengthens the soul. And now, if you are hearing this message, it is not by chance. You have been guided here for a reason. Take a deep breath and feel the light around you. The same light that speaks without words. The same light that whispers courage into your heart. Trust that the unseen forces of guidance are always present, that your patience and your silent endurance are being acknowledged, and that you are capable of walking forward with confidence and peace. Let this be your reminder. You do not need to chase validation. You do not need to fear endings, and you do not need to wait for permission to embrace your power. Stand in your truth, act with love, and allow the divine guidance surrounding you to shape every step you take. And as you move through your day, Carry this knowing with you. The universe is listening, heaven is guiding, and your awakening has already begun. If you feel this message resonating in your heart, share it, carry it, and remember always that light is with you. Strength is within you, and you are never alone. As Ethan moved further along his path, he began to notice the subtle ways in which the universe responds when one chooses to act from a place of faith rather than fear. At first, these were small, almost imperceptible signs. A chance encounter with someone who offered a kind word at exactly the right moment, a sudden insight during quiet reflection, or the way obstacles seemed to dissolve without effort when he approached them with clarity and calm. He realized that guidance does not always arrive in thunderous, dramatic moments. Often, it is in the quiet nudge, the gentle alignment that only those willing to notice can perceive. Day by day, Ethan's understanding deepened. He saw that patience was not passive waiting, but an active trust in the unseen order, and that his inner strength was being shaped in ways that were invisible to the world, but profoundly transformative within. As he faced new challenges, decisions that once would have paralyzed him, setbacks that would have filled him with doubt, he discovered an unexpected clarity and confidence. The voice of Michael, though no longer audible, reverberated within him in the form of certainty, reminding him that courage is not the absence of fear, but the decision to move forward despite it. Even in moments of solitude, Ethan felt supported by a presence that understood the full weight of human experience, a presence that did not demand perfection, only honesty and intention. This realization transformed how he approached every interaction, every choice. He became aware that every word spoken, every gesture, and every thought carried a subtle energy, and that alignment with his higher self amplified not only his own life, but the lives of those around him. Slowly, he began to act from this awareness, making decisions not from urgency or desperation, but from a place of centered clarity, trusting that even when outcomes were unknown, the path was being guided. Opportunities that had once seemed random now carried unmistakable signs of purpose, and closed doors were no longer seen as failures, but as essential redirections. As the days flowed into weeks, Ethan noticed that the inner voice of guidance became his constant companion, offering insight at moments of hesitation and reinforcing the understanding that divine timing is never hurried, but always exact. When fear crept in, as it naturally does, he learned to observe it without resistance, acknowledging its presence while choosing to act with courage. And in doing so, he experienced the remarkable truth that fear loses its power when met with awareness and faith. The weight he had carried for years, the doubts, the regrets, the what-ifs, began to lift, replaced by a steady confidence that did not demand external validation. In his work, in his relationships, and in his daily routines, he noticed that patience, alignment, and mindful intention created a flow that had been missing before, as if the universe was finally reflecting the calm strength he had cultivated within. And with this realization came a profound understanding. Awakening is not a single event, but a continuous process of choosing presence, clarity, and courage at every moment. Ethan also began to see the interconnectedness of all things, the ripple effect of a kind word, the unseen impact of a generous act, the subtle ways in which alignment shapes experiences far beyond immediate perception. Each day offered new lessons, and each moment presented opportunities to practice faith over fear, trust over doubt, and action over hesitation. In this state, he felt the true presence of guidance, not as a distant entity dictating outcomes, but as a living, breathing companion that honors free will while illuminating the path forward. He understood that mistakes were not failures, but lessons, that endings were not loss, but transformation, and that every challenge carried within it the seed of growth. As weeks turned into months, Ethan's life began to shift in profound yet gentle ways. Patterns that once frustrated him now made sense. Experiences that once seemed meaningless now carried clarity. And relationships that had been strained were healed through understanding, patience, and authenticity. He realized that the real transformation was not in the external circumstances, but in the perception and presence he brought to each experience. And with this understanding came a deep sense of peace, not dependent on outcomes, but rooted in the awareness that the unseen forces guiding him were steady, wise, and unwavering. In moments of reflection, he remembered that night when Michael had appeared and recognized that the true gift was not the vision itself, but the awakening it sparked within him. The ability to recognize guidance, to trust the process, and to act with courage in alignment with his higher self. This awareness allowed Ethan to step forward with unwavering confidence, knowing that no path walked in integrity, faith, and love is ever truly alone, and that the light he had encountered was not an external force to be sought, but a reflection of the strength and clarity that had always existed within him. As he continued, he embraced the understanding that every day is an opportunity to practice alignment. Every interaction is a chance to embody love and intention, and every choice, however small, can become a bridge to higher purpose. And so, with each sunrise, Ethan moved forward with courage, clarity, and trust, fully aware that the awakening that had begun that quiet winter night was now an ongoing journey, one that would continue to unfold as long as he remained attentive, conscious, and willing to act in harmony with the guidance that surrounds all those who choose to listen.